together. We return, return again. We return, we return, we return, we return, we return, return again and again to love, to
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for joining us here in the temple, as well as those of you whose little green and yellow light is blinking at me from video land. Thank you very much. We're glad that you're with us. We turn now to page 2. Cynthia Katz will lead us in lighting the Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We continue with welcoming our Shabbat bride with Lecha Dodi on page 20. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Adonai verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech kumi ori, uri shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likra kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Please rise as we welcome the Sabbath bride. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam besimcha u'betzochola, toch emuneam segula. Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likra kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Please be seated. We're on page 22. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, a psalm, a song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened us by your deeds, Adonai. We shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai. How very subtle your design. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Together, the righteous bloom like a date palm, and they thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in the courts of our God. In old age they still produce fruit. They are full of sap and freshness, attesting that Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no wrong.
We continue with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 26. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divra chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei, techo beit Yisrael, ba'agala, ba'agala, u'vizman karim, ve'imru amen, yehei shmei Rabba mevarach, le'alam u'lamei amaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitbar, v'yitromam, v'yitnasteh, v'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shmei dekudesha berichu, le'ela min kol milchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, ve'imru amen. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai lai
31. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Together on 32. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and on your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated. We're on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternal Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר וקודש, נורות תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לבני משה ומרים. זה לי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם
42. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming, to life and to peace, forevermore. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 44.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uven b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
47. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. Please rise for the tefillah.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, ve'Ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד חטא, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש בשמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We're at the bottom of page 57. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers, and there may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha, b'yirah na'avod. Page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Please take a moment for silent prayer. We ask God's blessing of healing. And on this Shabbat, we are mindful, and we ask the Holy One to be mindful of the needs of all who are ill, in pain of mind, body, or spirit, and particularly in our own community. Carol DeVore, Richard Hittow, Lenore Katz, Sally Keaton, Kermit Prill, Sylvia Rofe, Jack Rubin, Belinda Saulson, Vivian Simon, Tibatel B'chaim, and Judy Zimmerman. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yemalei Rachamim. Please.
David Howard and Beth Woodall.
Thank you.
Joel Katz.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yemalei Rachamim Aleihem v'yishlach lehem refuah shalema, refuat hanefesh u'refuat haguf. Hashta b'agarav v'zman kariv yimru. Amen. May God send each and every one of them a complete and speedy healing of body and spirit.
Page 253. May the source of strength
Shabbat shalom. I'm told if I stand in the light will be upon me. You know, like in the old police stations, you're going to shine a light in your face. I don't know how many of you remember that. We have almost reached the end of the Torah. We don't reach the end of the Torah at the end of the year. We will, in a couple of days, celebrate the beginning of the year. And if you ask most people, when do Jews begin and end reading their Torah? They would say on their new year. Makes perfect sense. But that's not exactly how it works. We end and read the beginning of the Torah in a few weeks on Simchat Torah. If you would like to understand how that came about, during Sukkot, Yirtz Hashem, I think on the 13th, correct? Thursday of the week of Sukkot, we will have a lunch and learn, and we will delve into that subject as to why the beginning and end of the Torah reading is a few weeks after the official beginning of the year. But for this Shabbat, our Torah portion is Nitzavim. It is towards the end of Deuteronomy. It is most years combined with next week's Torah portion, and most years we read Nitzavim and Vayelech together, but this is one of those years where it's a leap year, we have a little more Torah readings, so this year they are separated. In fact, this congregation's custom of studying on Shabbat morning according to the triennial cycle does not work now until the end of the year because the Torah portions are so short that there's no splitting them up. Even the service that many of us use says first, second, third triennial, but then it's the same verses under each one. A little bit sneaky. We don't pay them, so we're not going to complain. But everybody has their and the Reform movement, which eschews, did I get that right? That's a fancy word. We didn't have that. Bill, we didn't have that word in Brooklyn. No. The sacrificial system replaced, as the Yom Kippur morning reading, this Torah reading, Nitzavim, with the traditional, they replaced the traditional Yom Kippur morning, which was a reading about the sacrifices of Yom Kippur. I mean, you're not sitting there, you're sitting there not eating the whole day and you're reading about a butcher shop. Okay, that doesn't work. But we read this Parsha Nitzavim. Like the rest of Deuteronomy, particularly the end of Deuteronomy, Nitzavim is Moses still telling the story of the people that he has led up until this point, and that from whom he will soon be departing. And in this particular reading, he is recounting, in a somewhat different way, Ma'amad Har Sinai, the revelation at Mount Sinai. And the text goes like this. The beginning of the parsha is, Atem nitzavim hayom, you are stationed today. Natzav is a very nice Hebrew word that means standing, but it's stronger. It's not just standing, but it's stationed, affixed, attached. In fact, it's the same Hebrew word, the root that we used for a monument, comes from this word. All of you, in the presence of Adonai your God, and then he goes on to list the heads of the tribes, the elders, the cops, every individual in Israel, the women, the children, the strangers who are in your midst, and then in your midst, from the woodcutter ad shoev meimecha until the water drawer. And in the biblical world, woodcutters and water drawers were the bottom of the barrel, as it were. To enter into the covenant that Adonai your God is making with you today. Now, there's a couple of things that are interesting. The text is pretty much in the present tense. He's recounting what happened at Sinai, but he's not recounting it in the past. He's recounting it in the present. What he seems to be telling this almost entirely new generation of Hebrews is that entering into the covenant of Sinai is not only something that your ancestors did, and it's not something that previous generations did for you, but it is something that was in the past, but is also very much in the present. That they are going to have to stand there before God as they are about to enter the promised land, as we are about to enter a new year, and to engage in that covenant with God once again. Interestingly, Moses says that they will enter into the covenant with God, uva alato, as well as its negatives, as well as its sanctions. Moses is reminding his people, he's reminding us, that it's not always a cakewalk, that the covenant with God is not always easy, it's not a gift, that there are consequences to violating the covenant. There are consequences to doing the wrong thing. Not a bad reminder at this time of year, at any time of year, but particularly at this time of year. That's not a bad reminder at all. But then he says, Lo'ovrecha v'brit. The word avar, ayin beit resh. What does avar mean? Avar. It's the root of the word Hebrew. It's the root of the word Hebrew. Ivri, the language, avar. Who first calls us Hebrews? Who first calls us Hebrews? Our little quiz. It's just, it's a light Shabbos right before the holidays. I don't have any prizes here yet. I'll have to get some prizes. I'll bring you some Cleveland souvenirs next time. The Egyptians call Abraham, who's just said right? Somebody's right. The Egyptians call Abraham Ha-Ivri, the guy who crossed over, the fella from over there, or over there, as we would have said. Somebody who's crossed over. They're calling Abraham an immigrant, which is a whole other discussion, which we're not going to get into tonight. They're not always thrilled. Ever heard of that before? But in this case, and avar means to cross over, but it has to do with movement. In modern Hebrew, if a kid passes a test, they say, avarti et hamivchan. I passed the test, I passed the trial, I passed my course, whatever, it's used that way too. But it means to cross over. We have the famous Hebrew phrase, the famous, outstanding Hebrew question. Lama hatarnagol avar et hakvish. Lama hatarnagol avar et hakvish, which means what? My wife is right at the, very good. The president, that's why you're president of the congregation, okay? Why did the chicken cross the road? But what does that have to do? She's good. But what does that have to do with our Torah portion? What that has to do with our Torah portion is that although the Parsha and Moses' speech starts out with this word natsab, to be stationed, to be planted, to be stationary, he then follows up with this word la'avor, to cross over into the covenant with God. You may be standing in front of God, but you have to do something to be part of the covenant. You have to change. You have to move. You have to cross over. You have to decide that even though you're standing there, you're not going to just stand there forever, that you're going to cross over into the covenant. That you will accept the obligations, the good stuff, the sanctions, the responsibilities. All of that comes along with it. But not from just standing there. Not from just sitting down and letting it happen, because then it won't happen. The covenant with God that we renew every year, every month, every week, every day, and sometimes every hour. That covenant with Sinai is a dynamic, moving process with which we should be engaging at all times. That's hard to do. And so at this time of year, as we are about to Avarat Hashanah, as we are about to cross over into a new year, let us also learn from this Torah portion that gets us ready for the High Holy Days. That as we cross over into a new year, we should engage and give movement and dynamism to our crossing over and renewing our covenant with each other, with the Jewish people, and with our Creator. Shabbat Shalom.
We rise for Aleinu on page 282. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim livnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim ve'yoser haaretz u'moshe v'kara b'shamayim ima'al u'shchinatu zo be'gavhei meromim hu Eloheinu ein od amen malkeinu efes ulato kagatu b'torato v'yadata hayom v'hashevota el levavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim ima'al ve'al ha'aretz mitachat ein od v'nemar b'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Please remain standing, page 291. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in the company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. No one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, and in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. On this Shabbat, we remember the recent passing of Sandra Kreiselman, Leo Barris, and Catherine Hayes, and the yortzites of Jean Bale, Max S. Beam, Evelyn Brooks, Nathan Crone, Linda Seide Frank, Rhoda Franklin, Tilly Gelman, Jay Goodman, Rose Granitz, Elaine Kasowski, Hashimi, Jean Melitz, Judy Roggenbuck, Patricia Elizabeth Schultz, Lawrence Sklar, Selma Steiner, Michael Tauber, Sheldon Trosh, Irving Weisberg, Michael G. Weiss, Helen Yellen, and Maurice Maury Zelanka. Are there any other names you wish to hit? Page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach yirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei chon v'yomei chon, v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam le'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ah v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei kudsha b'richu, le'elam nimkol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shloma Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, u'yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael,
v'imru amen.
May the one who brings harmony to the heavens bring peace to us, to all Israel and all humanity. Amen v'amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, Uyaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Announcements tonight are brought to you by our president, Carrie Strome.
Good evening. Thank you everyone for joining us. The community is invited to join us for complimentary Erev Rosh Hashanah services on Sunday, this weekend, September 25th at 6 p.m. Please invite your family and friends to join us. Tickets are complimentary, but tickets are required for admission. So let the office know if you are interested in tickets. You can email or leave a message. Just a reminder, Rosh Hashanah morning services will be Monday, September 26th at 10 a.m. Tickets are required. If you haven't picked up your new High Holy Day prayer books yet, they will be available for you to use. If you haven't purchased your books yet, there will be plenty of books to borrow, and you can make your purchase between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Join us Monday afternoon at 3 p.m. for our multi-generational service at Marshbank Park in the Maple Ridge Shelter. Be sure to bring your shofar for the Great Shofar Blowout. We will again have a sweet surprise. We will also have the Tashlich service there at 4 p.m. to cast away our sins from the previous years. No RSVPs or tickets are necessary. Be sure to return your forms for the Yom Kippur memorial list so we can include everyone's loved ones. We need those back as soon as possible. Also give us the names of any children or grandchildren born or adopted since last Yom Kippur. Help us continue the tradition of honoring our newest family members during the Yizkor service. You can email names to Cheryl Spector in the office. Join the Social Action Committee for a ballot a Michigan ballot proposal deep dive, and relational organizing training. Nomi Joy Rich, who is a TKA member and Michigan Director of JFASD, will lead this program on Zoom Thursday, September 29th at 7 p.m. The goals are to gain a deeper understanding of all 3 Michigan ballot proposals and to be equipped to answer all your friends and relatives' questions and concerns about these important initiatives. More details and a Zoom link will be in next week's email. Thank you, Bill and Janet and Rabbi Denker and Sam and Elon for the streaming. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And Carrie's going to stay up here and help us make Kiddush. Page 5, please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'te'avon. Thank you. Our closing song is Adon Olam on page 321.
Torah study tomorrow morning at 9, here and online.
Yep.
And then services are at 10.
11.
11.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'eit na'asa v'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh ve'hu yiyeh b'tifara ve'hu echad ve'en sheni lecham shilo lechach bira ve'li reishit ve'li tachlit ve'lo ha'oz ve'ha'misra ve'hu eli ve'chai go'ali ve'tzor chevli be'tzara ve'hu nisi umanosli ve'nat kosi be'yom ekra be'yado afkid ruchi be'eti shan ve'a'ira ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li velo ira.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Thank you,
Shalom.
Janet. Thank you all for joining us.